Thank you for listening today on Revealing Wholeness, sponsored by Infinity Whole Health. Check out our website at infinityWholeHealth.com, where we are revealing the eternal in each individual, the infinite in the individual. The creativity is made manifest. Limitation is let go. Now, here's your host, Dr. Troy Munson.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Troy Munson on Revealing Wholeness. I'm really kind of stoked to do this podcast today because, I've been working for probably 20 years at this, and the last year and a half we've been doing podcasts. We have really approaching 100 podcasts. I think we're well over 80 at this point. And we've been doing a lot of nutrition, a lot of conditions, things like that. But I want to give people and you out there, the listener, a little look-see about what happens inside the office. What can you expect when you come in? Because, you never know what you're going to walk into, technically. And a lot of people like to get referrals to our office because people love to talk about how they're cared for, how they're treated in our office, and what they experience and what they find. And that's kind of some of my favorite referrals, to really roll out that red carpet for a client who's been referred by another client that really has a lot of hope by what they've told them. And if you've been listening to my podcast for a while, you may have really got a sense that, at least I believe that he knows something about nutrition, and that it sounds kind of like something that I want to do, but you're still tentative about whether, this is right for you or what could you expect, all that. Well, I want to help you kind of walk through that too. The first thing that people experience, I think, when they call my office is they get to hear a voice on the phone that really does care about what they're going through, because every single one of my staff have been through something pretty tough in their life. And even though some of them are young, they still, they get it, and they watch people go through this healing process every day, and they love listening to the stories. And so when you call and they start asking you questions about what's going on with you, and what have you been through, and what have you done, and how did you hear about us? Those are some of the questions that you could expect to get from them. And then they're going to help you at least choose whether or not you're looking for chiropractic, or are you looking for nutrition, or are you looking for both? And to give you an idea, people, because the big question is sometimes they're like, okay, tell me what this is going to cost me. My staff have no problem telling you that for a brand new nutrition client that insurance doesn't cover, it's $199. So it's $199 to come in for that visit. And with that, you'll typically get a detailed consult with me. Usually takes about 15, 20, 25 minutes, depending on how complex your case is. You're going to fill out paperwork that's going to at least lay out all the symptoms that you're experiencing right now, because we want to track those as they start to go away. What symptoms are really tough and not wanting to go away? And I'll give a couple case examples here in just a moment. But you're going to fill out a couple other history things that are going to tell me at least what's been happening to you. And when I look at that, I'm then going to ask the harder, deeper questions, because sometimes it's really important to know, how long have you been struggling with something? Have you had things in the past that have gone away? Because oftentimes when we care for people, those old symptoms come back. And that can be kind of irritating to folks if they don't realize that their body's trying to heal, and now they still have that symptom that they still have to heal, or that system that they still have to heal from. And so it really gives us a great idea of what's going to be happening as you go through this process. And during that nutrition, whole visit, it's going to be about an hour and 10 minutes. We're going to do some thermography and some EMG. We're going to do a heart scan. We want to know what those systems are looking like. Thermography tells us kind of heat and swelling. And the EMG tells us how much strain and stress are you under. And the heart scan tells us a deeper level of injury. Sometimes we see some really poor heart scans, and that says how long the system has been under strain and stress. And that again begins to give us an idea of how long will it take to get you to a point where you feel like, I'm feeling pretty good most of the time. And so that's kind of the nutrition side. And then in the beginning, we might see you every week on a tough case. We might see you every 2 weeks for a couple of months. And then very quickly, it's once a month, because now your program has stabilized and your tissues just need time. And one of the big questions is people come in and they'll test for 15 cataplex AC, high vitamin A, high vitamin C, and it's got echinacea in it. It's an immune formula that I see a lot of people, their bodies want drastically, and they say, why am I taking so much? And oftentimes, we see a building on fire, And let's say it's a big blaze. You got a big blaze going on. And we run up there with a squirt gun and we start squirting that fire. Well, it is the right idea, but it may be not enough. And so instead of taking one Cataplex AC, maybe I'm comfortable taking 3 a day. So I run up instead with a super soaker. And I'm still squirting that fire that's going on, but it's still a big blaze. Well, what if we run up with a couple 4-inch hoses from a fire truck or a fire hydrant that's putting a lot of water on that blaze? Now we're making a real dent real fast. And so sometimes the body is asking for high doses of nutrition right from the get-go because it's trying to put out some fires. It's trying to change things fast. And that can be a little bit rocky in and of itself. And so I'm preparing people most of the time that I'm expecting other symptoms to come up and come to the forefront. So be prepared for that. But this is the healing process as we go through it. We can do it slow and steady, or we can do it fast and kind of fast and dirty, if you will. But ultimately, that's kind of the nutrition side. So after about 4 to 6 months, most people were getting kind of to a good point in their program where they decide whether they want to, just take a couple of supplements as a multivitamin and keep their diet going in a good pace, or that they want to do some deeper level work. Other people I've been working on for sometimes 2 years, and it's taken that long to get a lot of systems to come back and running. Their bowels are now regular. They feel mentally good. They've got energy. They're sleeping well. It just takes time because their body is so mineral and vitamin deficient that it just takes time to build. And so we'll monitor all those things. But eventually we get to a point where you're feeling pretty good. And now some people see me once a quarter, once every 6 months, maybe once a year. Maybe they come back when they have an issue. All that is acceptable at that point. And so we'll get to that point. We'll start making those decisions with you as well. Now, the chiropractic side can be very different. And the chiropractic side, oftentimes insurance could cover, but I do have a lot of clients that don't have good coverage on insurance. And so they pay cash payments. And we have wellness plans for folks that they can save a fair amount of money and literally cut their expenses almost in half to, a manageable level. So chiropractic can be $50 a visit cash, or it can be, if they're wanting 2 visits a month, it's $45 a visit. So, we give breaks as people want more care and they want to come in more frequently. In the beginning of their chiropractic journey, it often takes about 6 to 8 weeks to get them to a stable point, even though pain-wise it may be gone in 2 weeks. We do scans to update so that we can see how their body is responding, and we'll do x-rays at certain points so we can see how much degeneration, how much care they need. And that's all, it's all patient dependent because everybody's different. And so everybody gets a little bit of different plan because they're just so different. Some are younger, some are older, some have more trauma, some have less, some have better diets, some don't. It all goes into the big picture of how long does it take you to get well. And so, that's why some of the podcasts, we want to work on you mentally. We want to prepare you for that healing process. We want you to release old hurts and old wounds. And that becomes great in that healing process. And so when people walk in my office the first time and they're kind of like, whoa, you guys do so much. And we take them to a room that's private that they can fill out paperwork and they can be comfortable and relaxed and concentrate and give us their full attention, and that we can give them their full attention and decide what we need to do. And so that's kind of the experience that people have in the office. And it's a warm place. It's a cozy place. I love it. It's quaint. I love the small town of Ording. And, I came here over 20 years ago and I love it. I love the low stress, the feeling. I love Mount Rainier, being in the shadow of Mount Rainier and the vibrancy of the community. I just love it. So those are some things that you'll experience when you come into the office. If I mention something that you are wondering about and, what about this or what about that, please shoot me an email. I'd love to dialogue and kind of ease your mind on some things. And just as a couple of clients to give you an idea of what people walk through, I have some children that have come in that have, let's say that they're chronically sick. And as I start doing things, within a couple weeks, they're doing great. They're no longer sick. They're feeling good. Their cough is gone. They're sleeping. They love their chewables, and the parents are happy. And then it's checking them, once a quarter, once every 6 months. So the parents come in and say, hey, they're dealing with this or that. Great. Let's do these 2 things and see how they do. Hey, that worked beautifully. Great. Next time they have a problem, come in. For adults, I've had clients that, they'll come in and they'll have acid reflux or they'll have migraine headaches. And we start working chiropractically, we work nutrition, and with a very short period of time, they feel like that's handled. And they're starting to dial in their diet that, hey, I know my triggers now. And they're being more cautious and more careful, and now they've begun to alter their diet to improve their health and their nutrition more and more. And within 3 or 4 months, they're doing great. Others that have had that maybe in their 70s and they've got skin issues, their bowels aren't moving, they've got eye issues, their brain is foggy, and now, I've been working with them and it's taken almost 6 months to really get their bowels dialed in, and now they move on their own. And now they're actually able to get off some of the supplements because their liver is now performing correctly. Their bowel musculature is now coming back online and they're able to actually move their bowels. This takes time to rebuild a system like that. And unfortunately, I can't say, hey, I want to rebuild the bowels now, and I want to rebuild the liver now. I can't tell the body to do that. I have adrenals that may want to take all that nutrients. I may have kidneys that want to take most of the nutrients. We may have an immune system that wants to take all the nutrients ahead of those other organs. And so it just takes time. And again, we want to feed that system as fast as it will allow and to absorb those nutrients as quickly as possible too. And so we want to work on bowels. We want to make sure you're absorbing things and doing that. Chiropractically, most people within about 6 to 8 weeks are fairly stable. I'll do exercises to stabilize necks and low backs, and they're very simple. I don't like doing grandiose exercises. They take about 10 seconds a day, a couple times a day, and it's all the muscles need to be pushed into that stabilization. But most people do really well. And even right now, I've been testing some clients on adjusting multiple times daily, and I'm watching some radical things happen in very short periods of time with people getting adjusted more frequently. Like right now, I've got a couple that are being adjusted 4 times a day, and I'm watching them move through their patterns at breakneck speed. I'm just impressed by how well the human body heals and how fast it heals. And so for those of you out there that feel kind of hopeless that, what can I do for this? Some of these ideas I may have you take back to your chiropractor if you're out of state, or take back to your nutritional practitioner that maybe you need to do high doses and monitoring that. And I'm very cautious with synthetics. I use whole foods because I want to feed the body food, not synthetics. Synthetics are woefully undernourishing and incomplete when it comes to doing high doses that so many people have done for years, and it just depletes them of other things. And I've talked about that on other podcasts, so I'm just going to caution you there. But that's kind of a nutshell into what you'll find in the office as we take care of folks. And so we're very, very much hands-on. I have clients that text me all the time because they have questions, especially in the beginning. And they feel kind of weird in the beginning until they see that I respond very quickly. And I'd rather them do that and get an answer immediately than wonder, is this an okay symptom on this particular supplement? Should I be experiencing this? And what does it mean? And I can quickly let them understand the mechanism that's happening and that this is okay for now, or maybe we need to recheck them and do a quick check, we call it, and find out what next is in the system that we must handle, because things happen and that's just the way healing works, and that's okay too. So I hope that gives some insight, and definitely please give me an email or a text or whatever you wish. Give the office a call. Ask questions. It's always a great thing to do. And until next time, I'm Dr. Troy Munson on Revealing Wholeness.
Thanks for listening. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach Dr. Munson at 360-893-8586 or email him at chiro-man@dr.com. That's chiroman@dr.com. Check out our current workshop schedule on Facebook at Infinity Whole Health.